it's a lot of fun. That brings back a lot of memories, and you know, as a result of the kids coming to those camps, a lot of times what we have is, oh, my friend would like to come now. And, you know, one of the students that we have and that we've invested in, and, you know, they said, well, I think I have a friend that might want to come. And Daniel was that friend. And so in the midst of doing the interviews, I realized that Daniel was a great guy, but that he wasn't a Christian. And I had a decision to make because, you know, anybody that I put into that position has the opportunity or has the ability to be a leader, but I don't ever want to put bad leaders into that position. And so in the midst of praying about it, I thought, you know, there's enough good people around, or there's enough mature Christians that are going to be at camp that you know, we'll just watch Daniel, we'll kind of help out with his kids and those sort of things. And as a result, I've allowed Daniel to come to camp, and God really worked in his life in the midst of that. And Daniel had afterwards, you know, and I've been chasing Daniel for a long time, but then afterwards, Daniel had said that something really was happening in his life. And because of the example and because of the obedience of all these other students, all these other peers of his, classmates of his, you know, he realized that there was something missing in his life. And he comes to camp, and the whole week he hears about the gospel, he hears about the good news, and he hears about, you know, that he needs that salvation. And as a result, you know, Daniel, I've been working with him for a while now, but Daniel, in this last November, so just a few months ago, decided to give his life to Christ. And so all of a sudden we're seeing that circle that we looked at earlier and stuff. You know, we start seeing that's coming full circle again. And Daniel decides that he's going to follow Christ by faith, thus starting his own circle, only because so many others have decided to be committed to fulfilling that. And Daniel asked to be baptized. He wanted to be obedient to that which God says. He wanted to worship God. And so I said, well, that's great, you know, we can baptize you. And he says, well, I really want to do it outside. And I said, well, that's great, but it's November, and you know, and so I said, we can wait till summer. He says, no, I don't want to wait. And so November 30th, the last day in November, Daniel, I had the privilege of baptizing Daniel in the Platte River. You know, the day before there was ice chunks floating down here, and so I have my warm chest waders on, but Daniel. Because there's such a fire that's burning inside him now, you know, he wants to be obedient. He wants to see lives change, and he's ready to start his commission-minded ministry. And, you know, and that's all because of Royal Family Kids Camp and the obedience that goes into that. And, you know, these 4 girls all helped out with Royal Family. They're all college students there in Kearney, but the young gal second from the left with the dark hair, she's a camper. She's a former camper that has now come back to camp and to help. And, you know, as a 19-year-old woman, she can talk about how her life could have and probably should have statistically been a lot different. But because of young people being obedient and investing in her life has ultimately been changed. You know, and it's so obvious what the statistics would look like. You know, most of the perpetrators, most of those that are guilty, were also victims, you know, at one point. And so what we're doing is we're breaking that cycle. And when I wrote Lives Changed across the top, it's so true, because Kylie, in her desire to follow God more, she wants to be discipled. Monica wants to be discipled. Megan wants to be discipled. Taylor, you know, all of them want to grow. And that's all because we have decided to adopt this understanding that God wants us to be obedient. And with Roger Williams Fellowship, and really this kind of comes full circle back to you, your churches and you ladies faithfully praying for us, we couldn't do it without you. And so when Opal asked me to come up and talk, the only thing I could think of is to say thank you. This is what we're doing lives are being changed. We're being obedient to that which God says, but God is also working through you so that we are put in a position to do that. You know, UNK is a big campus, and it's very secular. You know, but for whatever reason, we have had a powerful ministry, and we continue to have a powerful ministry. And so today I just thank you. I thank you for allowing me to be able to do what God has called me to do. I thank you for the students like Drew and the life of a 36-year-old man that, you know, that otherwise might not have a chance to live. You know, but because Drew understood what it meant to be selfless and think of other people. You know, and I think about Monica and how if it wasn't for people hearing the gospel and having their lives changed, that Monica might not have her life changed. And so, you know, it's so much bigger than just a meal. It's so much bigger than just a few photos or a newsletter now and then, you know, or a name. You know, all of us, and I know Pastor